We wanted the Iron Hill dwarves to be a fairly well-trained army. We've seen individual dwarves, but this was an opportunity to see a real dwarf army go at it, and so we wanted to pull out all the stops and make it really cool.
The Iron Hill dwarves, if I was to describe them, were, in some ways, they were kind of the badasses. Even in the beginning of the first film, they were the guys that you called when things got real.
And what do the dwarves of the Iron Hill say? Is Dáin with us?
Thorin is the flawed, passionate, driven young leader, whereas Dain's been there, he's done that, and he just keeps going.
Well, both Dáin and Thorin have a distinguished war record. They both figured prominently at the Battle of Azanulbizar, which is the great battle between the orcs and the dwarves.
In the books, Azog actually dies in this battle. By doing it the way that Peter, Fran, and Philippa have, and keeping Azog alive, they've given Thorin a very, very personal nemesis.
And just for the sheer payoff of, you know, Thorin's character that we needed for Thorin to kill Azog. But as true fans of the books will know, that's not actually what happened.
In the books, it's actually Dáin who attacks and actually kills Azog.
Up the steps after him leaped a dwarf with a red axe. It was Dáin Ironfoot, Náin's son. Right before the doors, he caught Azog, and there he slew him and hewed off his head.
Dáin, for a lot of us, was the grounded hero who you turn to. And the opportunity, I think, that a lot of us saw in the design department was that chance to designate him the quintessential powerhouse of a dwarf.
Unlike hobbits, Tolkien didn't invent dwarves. I think Tolkien lifted the dwarves from Norse mythology.
In the old Norse material he was drawing on, dwarves are not portrayed very favorably. Dwarves are associated with great works of craft, but also with curses, also with malice. And Tolkien adopted that fairly closely when he started writing about Middle-earth. So much so that there's a section where Tolkien writes that the dwarves do not have souls.
They're also said to be creatures of the stone. They come out of the stone, they go back into the stone. So actually, people don't know where dwarves come from. And one reason they might not know where dwarves come from is they never meet dwarf women. There is a belief that there aren't any.
One thing that seems to be going on is those early stories are very explicitly the story from the point of view of the elves. So the dwarves are portrayed universally in a negative manner. But that's not the case in The Hobbit, where we have a different perspective.
I know that dwarves can be obstinate and pig-headed and difficult, suspicious and secretive, with the worst manners you can possibly imagine, but they are also brave and kind and loyal to a fault.
Tolkien reinvented the dwarves when he came to write The Hobbit, and he evolved a new background for them as he got into the appendices to The Lord of the Rings. We get to see the family tree. We know that Fili and Kili are the sons of Thorin's sister, Dis.
Now, if you've got a contradiction, Tolkien always wanted to explain it. How come people don't know where dwarves come from?
It's true you don't see many dwarf women. And in fact, they are so alike in voice and appearance that they're often mistaken for dwarf men.
It's the beards.
We wanted to show dwarf women mainly because the moment which you see in the Desolation of Smaug, where you see the bodies of those women holding their children, and to show that this was a real culture, not just a culture of blokes. So Richard Taylor and his incredible team at Weta Workshop came up with some beautiful drawings of dwarf women.
Nothing gave us more comedy than putting beards on our production women as we were trying to design the female dwarves.
I felt like a naughty school kid, because there I am sitting at my desk and, you know, there's one of my lady colleagues 10 feet away from me and I'm sitting there drawing, you know, a moustache on her face. I mean, it's like the kid at school who's drawing stuff on a picture of his teacher.
I love casting weird and wonderful, so casting bearded dwarven women, how could that not be exciting? Don't you love ringing people up saying, how would you like to wear a beard today?
Having a beard is definitely interesting. I look like my dad, which is scary.
Surprisingly,
The number of women who wanted to play dwarves so they could wear facial hair was amazing.
Isn't it a stunner?
I'm not privileged to have a goatee, unfortunately.
It's okay, you're growing out the sideburns.
Yes, yeah, I've got the Elvis Presley thing going. Oh
yeah.
Even Kate said to me at one point, she said, I'd love to come and play a dwarf.
I'd seen all the dwarf beards, and I've just fell in love with them. I said they were beautiful, and so I said to Peter, I want to come back and be a dwarf.
If you come back as a bearded dwarf lady, I'll be your husband.
It would be an honour, sir.
Well, we should do it. We should do it.
I want to wear one of those beards, and I want to be your wife, and we're going to sit there, and we're going to just in a passing shot, you and I are going to just eat a chicken leg.
Kate Blanchett gave us a photograph and said, please make me into a dwarf. And I took a run at that.
Obviously, to be a bearded dwarven woman, you have to be an open-minded performer. But what fun, embrace it. It's all part of the magic of Middle Earth.
That's how we do it at the hood.
I love the bearded ladies. The only kind I like. Because the only kind you've got. Yeah, that's true.
They like hairy women. It's supposed to be attractive sexually, you know, so the more hair, the more attractive the woman. Isn't that right?
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
And also you need to play with the proportions with the women as well. You have to try and, well, highlight their stature, basically.
Have you seen the size of our assets? I mean, look at those. That's something else dwarf men like, a big asset.
No. You can tell the age of a female dwarf by the length of her chin bits. I'd say I'm about 27 years old. Yes, I ended up as a dwarf.
We're in a train of a couple of hundred dwarves, that's all that's left, with only 3 dwarf women. So that's all we've got left to populate the entire dwarf nation of the Blue Mountains, of which Tammy is one. So, see you later.
When the Lonely Mountain is destroyed, when Smaug comes and destroys the kingdom under the mountain, very few people escape. Thorin decides he'll start a new group, and he goes as far west as he can to the Blue Mountains. The other survivors went over to the Iron Hills as the closest dwarf colony.
In the Iron Hills, you have Thorin's contemporary, his cousin, Dáin, who rules there.
And of course, since the dwarves take relationship very seriously, Dáin, of course, he comes to the assistance of Thorin.
From the very outset, when we first sat with Peter and discussed Dáin, he was adamant that Dáin needed to have a unique and specific point of difference to all the other dwarves.
I wanted Dáin to have this sort of flamboyant kind of mad Scottish kind of warrior type, you know. The Scots were fantastic in the real world history in taking on the British in the 1700s, where they just weren't going to take any crap from anyone. And casting Billy Connolly was fantastic because you have a guy who knows how to play a feisty Scotsman. I mean, he comes from that world. He comes from a tough upbringing. But you've also got a guy with a wonderful comic sense of humour as well.
Strangest offer I've ever had from Peter Jackson, and it said, would I like to do it? It's a small but important role of Dáin Ironfoot. And I like his name right away, and he's a real hard man. And he really appealed to me, you know, this guy who comes out of the darkness, and everybody's quite in awe of him. Oh no, it's him. He likes killing people. It appealed to my Glaswegian sort of side. There's a lot of us in Glasgow like that. But the bit I really liked was they sent me a page of dialogue, but I wasn't on it. I said, well, that's interesting. And then when I got here, they gave me a whole script, but it was for the first movie, the one I'm not in. And I thought, well, they work pretty weird here. And Peter said, and have you read The Hobbit? I said, no. I said, not only haven't I read it, I don't like people who have. Because I come from the folk music bluegrass background before I did comedy and all that hippie 60s thing. And there was 2 distinct camps. There were Tolkiens and non-Tolkiens. And I was a non. And I didn't like the Tolkien people. People went around with this book under their arm talking about glibbity globbles and globalty glicks. And they always had long nails, those guys. It's another creepy thing I found about them.
To get to work with someone that is so filled with good humour can only bring great brightness to what can sometimes be a very challenging time.
Fairly early on, we found out that Billy Connolly was going to be cast as Dáin, so we were all pretty excited. He's a big favourite with us.
The Scots came from Ireland for reasons best known to themselves, for Christ's sake. Come on, I know an even colder place. Right, it rains all the time. It's a fucking amazing. Head for the black cloud.
I certainly wanted to play a bit on the persona of Billy Connolly.
Dáin hates most people. You know, he likes dwarves, and it kind of ends there. He has no time for elves. He finds them to be a bunch of Jessie boys, sort of mirror gazers. They seem to dress to look great, and he dresses to look terrifying.
He was pretty wild, a little bit crazy. And because at this stage we had been exploring animal motifs like the rams and boars, some of the initial ideas that I played with was this idea of giving his beard and hair design a slight boar look, shaping the beard into two kind of big tusk shapes and actually capping them with tusks. And also, wild boar often have that really spiny ridge of hair running down the back of them that makes them look, you know, a little bit sort of punk, but it also makes them look really aggressive.
And his armour. Ultimately, Peter knew from the very outset that his armour must never be ceremonial, but it did have to have a certain level of regal quality to it, but still be utterly functional. So this is Dáin in his full armour.
That's good for the Iron Hills army. It feels like Iron Hills, doesn't it?
Yeah.
From an armour and weaponry point of view, Dáin's armour was just much more elaborate, and obviously his helmet was more individual.
It's totally over the top. The huge boar's motif with the huge crest of bristled hair, it capped off a very sublime and beautiful piece of design.
Good morning.
Good day, my dear. Ooh, you've been spied upon today. Apart from just being Dáin, I have to become a dwarf. I wear a cap on the back of my head. First, that goes on first. It makes my head generally bigger. Then the prosthetic face comes along.
Time for the face.
The transformation.
He has tattoos on his forehead and his cheeks. He has a big scar on the left side of his face and a broken nose. There's an old story they tell in Glasgow that sums him up. Glasgow was quite famous for violent guys, you know, and hard men. And the story goes, there's a guy in a bar, and a little guy, and he's with his friends, and he said, "Who's that guy up at the end of the bar?" And they said, "That's Big Jimmy, the hard man." Oh, he said, "Is that him?" He said, "I've always wanted to be a hard man." He said, "Well, you go and ask Jimmy, he'll tell you how to do it." So he goes up to Jimmy the hard man, and he says, "Excuse me, you Jimmy the hard man?" He says, "Yeah, it's me." He said, "I've always fancied being a hard man myself, you know." I said, "Oh, really?" He said, "Could you give me any advice?" He says, "Well, the best advice I give you is to always remember the old 1-3. Just keep that in mind, the old 1-3. And he says, "What happened to 2? He says, "Oh, you get that." And it's that thing that the hard man knows that it's actually 1, 2, 3. And real hard guys like Dáin accept the 2. They know it's coming, so they carry the badges of it. I like my tusks.
I love them.
And he did have, in the end, the thickest, biggest wig and beard out of all the dwarves.
There's nothing worse than being a dwarf with a badly fitting hairpiece.
How embarrassing. What would the other dwarves think?
We had to pad his makeup time about 20 more minutes, half an hour longer than what it was, because he loves to tell stories and jokes.
As you can see, everybody's experts here.
Oh,
Everybody except me. I don't know anything. I don't have a script.
I know nothing.
I don't know what the show's about. Except that people are called Ginkle, Glonkel, Flinkel, and Flonkel.
It's a romance.
You can't every day say, "Oh, my God, I have to get into this bloody thing again." It's a luxury you can't really afford because it's going to happen. So you might as well choose to enjoy it and have a good laugh with the people who are doing it. I'm ready for wardrobe. I saw an illustration first, but it was seconds before I started getting into my clothes. It was in my armour, you know, and I thought, I couldn't wait to get into it. Once I got into it, I couldn't wait to get out of it again. It was so heavy. There's this layer upon layer upon layer of armour and various bits and pieces. It makes me broader and broader. And then the people who made it came up to talk to me about it, and they said, how is it? And I said, it's like wearing a small European car. Richard Taylor, he says, well, actually, it's a lot of light layers, one on top of the other. I want to say, yeah, that's how heavy things happen. It isn't the lightness of the layer, it's the number of the layers, you know. Give me a break. I feel as if I'm inside a building. And they've built a brick toilet round me. 6 feet away, there was a full-length mirror, and I wandered over and I looked at myself and I thought, oh my God, this guy is going to terrify these people when he comes through the door.
Wow. Holy Mary, Mother of God.
Beautiful. Billy?
Hey, how are you, all right?
Nice to see you. How's it all feel?
Feels great.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Well, shall we shoot a bit of film?
And look into the lens, lean in and say, I say we kill the bastard.
I say we kill the bastards.
Do we want to try one with a helmet on?
I cannot wait to kill the bastard who made this armour now.
Good. Okay, cool.
What am I doing?
Just stay down in the belly. It's not here. It's there.
That's another thing. I had to learn to walk like a dwarf.
2 steps, square off. Boom. Yeah. Feel that?
Yes, it is.
That's what you need to do.
I worked with Terry, and he was telling me how the elves are very elegant and swishy with the swords, but we are more the sort of, poof, of some of that. And we're low-slung, we've got a low centre of gravity, so you have to walk like it. You have to drop your stomach and move deadly, you know.
You've got to just have that depth and that no bullshit, no wavering. You've got to really be down.
But he said a great thing to me. He said, you got to listen with your back. Yeah, you don't turn around while you're walking. You just know, having crossed that path already, on your way to where you are, you know that behind you's okay. You have that sort of confidence thing.
Yes!
He's a very clever fellow. And so's Steve. And Steve teaches violence with such happiness and joy.
Would you buy that as a fight scene?
Oh, yeah. He'll tell you how to behead somebody with such joy, and you know he would show his daughter.
I was fortunate enough to train Billy for about 3 months. It's great because I would tell him something, and you could see the progression. He's going, yeah, okay, I get it, I get it. You can see you're actually connecting with the guy.
Can I do it once more?
Yes, you may. That's the spirit, Billy. Shoulders back, knees with your stomach.
And so I practiced and practiced, my belly sticking out and walking, and I walked up and down those hangers for days. And then I put the outfit on. It just drove me into the position, so I hadn't needed to practice at all. Caught! Caught while trying to walk.
So we're shooting our very first shot of Dáin, Billy Connolly. He's riding a giant pig, where we've taken some warthog footage off the internet of warthogs, trotting along, and we've programmed that movement into this barrel so that when Billy's on there, hopefully it'll move like a warthog would move, a big warthog. Going up.
Ladies' lingerie, porcelain dishes, and snuff boxes.
Okay, here we go. So let's just run them and action.
Tell your friends they should leave, or I will water the ground with their blood.
That's fantastic. Good. We can cut.
Oh, it was hours on it. I couldn't get off.
You may have a few saddle sores tonight.
Stand me up. What? Hey. Thank you. Your hips get slightly dislocated when in that position for such a long time. So when you go to get off, you say your legs don't work properly. So I had to be heaved bodily off this by about 4 or 5 guys. Actually, I could leap off of there like a gazelle. I just like to be touched by young men.
One of the things with Billy playing Dáin is that his original appearance as Dáin, the makeup was so heavy on him that, to me, I looked at this character and I didn't really see Billy Connolly. I mean, I didn't see him, and I wanted to see him.
Do you think that if you walked down the street like that people would recognise you?
I wouldn't recognise me.
I realised it was a situation a bit like what we had with Thorin originally, with Richard, and we had it with Aidan playing Kelly, and we had it with Jimmy playing Bofa, is that we taken away what's so great about their facial performance by burying them in the makeup. And so we were able to redesign their makeup midway through the filming, in actual fact. And we had a very similar situation with Billy Connolly. He was swamped in the makeup of Dáin.
So it came back to us for a round of redesigning, where the brief was specifically pull more of Billy through the design so that it resembled Billy a little more.
In the original prosthetic, he's got a bit of a broken nose from an earlier battle and things, and so Pete did want to keep that in there. Not quite so long and quite so wide.
We tried kind of making it more like Billy's nose, but that wasn't quite right either. So every day, Peter would be shown a different kind of variation, and he would look at it and say, no, it's not quite there. It should have a kind of more of a kind of pronounced bridge.
I remember he looked over at John Howe and said, let's use John's nose. He's got the perfect nose for this. And so John did a sketch, using his nose. It was pretty funny.
Essentially, it's another one of John's major contributions to this film. In all the artwork that John has done of anything involving the dwarves, he's made one of them, if not all of them actually, look like himself in the troupe. He just likes to join in.
So there's a little bit of John Howe in Dáin.
Gandalf the Grey. Tell this rabble to leave, or I'll water the ground with their blood.
Peter liked the notion that Dáin would have a mount that was specific to him, and so Dáin ended up with the boar to ride on.
These are creatures that are tenacious, low to the ground, stubborn. They have attributes that are so complementary of the dwarves of Tolkien's mythology.
But yeah, it was fun to explore. I mean, I think I did some designs looking at sort of warthogs a lot with something with a much longer nose. Peter wanted us to explore all manner of things and go pretty wild with them.
Peter decided on a pig, and his reference was one of these New Zealand pigs, a kuni.
We first met Pikelet when she came along to one of our casting calls that we did across the country.
Yeah.
And we noticed her straight away, didn't we?
Oh, there was something about her that just stood out.
Yeah, she just had that X factor.
For those of you not from New Zealand, a pikelet is essentially a smaller, thicker pancake.
You don't get a figure like mine without eating pikelets, and they're a great and favourite part of the New Zealand diet. Perfect name for a little pig.
They can be house-trained.
You won't be house-training them.
We put her in one of the Lake Town scenes, and we never realised where that was going to take her.
It's like she was born to act. And I got to tell you, it creates a lot of jealousy amongst the other actors. I mean, they're not happy about the fact that she steals the film.
Now she's demanding her own trailer. I mean, that's crazy.
Up you go. Good deal.
Peter gets muffins, I get nothing.
Right, darling.
Muffins for the pig, nothing for me.
I wanted Pikelet to be the animal that Dáin himself rides. She's a huge, I mean, she's almost the size of a cow, you know, with short legs.
Peter walked him into the offices to show Fran once, walked him through the office, this giant pig.
What sort of pig is Pikelet?
A cooney.
A cooney.
Wow. You even got papers.
You've got papers. Where are your eyes? They're buried beneath your ears.
I'll see you this afternoon. See you this afternoon.
We adopted Pikelet, and she lives with us now. We have Pikelet in a very comfortable field, and she's well cared for and a very happy old lady now.
What a life that pig must have now. Private jets, three-course dinners.
So Dáin is riding a cooney pig who is based on our pet pig, Pikelet.
I mean, that kind of makes me laugh.
Dáin, he looks completely silly on his pig, but he doesn't for a second think he's silly, and nor should anyone else dare to laugh or smile. That just brought a spirit into the whole character.
I wouldn't like to come in front of old Dáin. Yeah, he's not to be messed with.
His fighting style was, let's say, we'd call it pub-style fighting, headbutts. He was a rough brawler. As a warrior, he was far superior than a lot of the other dwarfs, and that's what made him a leader as well.
He is a truly wise and noble king. In fact, it would have been great to tell the rest of Dáin's story.
We are told at the time of The Lord of the Rings that Sauron has sent a messenger to Dáin, offering him one of the Dwarven rings in exchange for news about Bilbo, who Bilbo is and where he can be found.
Sauron was trying to bribe and corrupt the dwarves, as he did the Náin. Dáin, being the man he is, or the dwarf he is, stout of heart, snubbed his nose and told him in no uncertain terms that the dwarves were not for sale, and they will never be slaves.
In The Lord of the Rings, we saw Sauron attack Minas Tirith. Then we saw Gandalf and Aragorn leading the defense of the south. But what we didn't see is that Dáin and Bard's descendant, his grandson, Brand, they actually hold off an army sent by Sauron to take that whole northern area.
We hear reference to Dáin defending Erebor against Sauron in The Lord of the Rings.
I wish I could muster a legion of dwarves, fully armed and filthy.
Your kinsmen may have no need to ride to war. I fear war already marches on their own lands.
King Brand and King Dáin are actually fought all the way back to the doors of Erebor. It's a pitched battle.
Gandalf in the appendices says, never forget the courage of those who fought in that battle. Because the orcs would have swept through the north and destroyed even places like Rivendell and Lothlorien.
And in the kind of saga tradition, Gandalf says, Dáin dies like a hero, axe in hand, fighting to the last.
I should call that a heavy loss, if it was not a wonder, rather, that in his great age he could still wield his axe as mightily as they say he did. Standing over the body of King Brand before the gate of Erebor until the darkness fell.
The two of them fight off Sauron's forces in the north, and they actually die side by side, but successfully. They defeat Sauron's
Oh,
forces.
yeah. God, you sound like those guys, I remember. I remember they would give me these big, long stories, and I would be thinking, I wish you would go away. followed by Gandalf, get a life. Diddle-dee, 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 diddle-dee.